When the Montreal Expos had probably the greatest outfield trisome, or can't say tandem, trisome or threesome, in baseball of the 1970s, Dawson, Valentine, and Cromartie. Although Tim Raines replaced Ellis Valentine, Cromartie was straw that stirred the drink. The Crow was one of the most popular athletes in Montreal during the 1970s into the early 80s. Held up the Canadian flag in the 81 playoff win against the Phillies, one of the great moments in baseball history in Canada. But the native of Miami Beach, Florida, basically was loved by Expo fans 2 to 102. Now, he and fellow young outfielders Ellis Valentine and Andre Dawson were the talk of Major League Baseball when they came up together with the Expos in the late 70s. Nicknamed Crow, he was very popular to fans in Montreal, as well as Quebec and the rest of Canada. But after the Expos, he won the 1989 Nippon Professional Baseball Most Valuable Player during his career playing baseball in Japan for the Yomiuri Giants. Now, Cromartie was the only child of Marjorie and Leroy Cromartie. He played quarterback at Florida A&M College and led his team to Southern Intercollegiate Atlantic Conference Championships in 44 and 45. Having also played basketball and baseball in high school, he left FAMC to play semi-pro baseball with the Miami Giants, which led to a brief stint as a second baseman with the Cincinnati and Indianapolis Clowns of the Negro Leagues. After that, Leroy returned to FAMC and led the Rattlers to another SIAC championship in 47 and a national title in 1950. Now, upon graduation from Miami Jackson High School in 71, the younger Cromartie was drafted by the Chicago White Sox in the seventh round of that year's draft, but opted to instead attend Miami-Dade College. Following this, he was drafted by 3 other teams: the Minnesota Twins in the third round of the January 72 secondary draft, the Padres in the first round of June 72 secondary draft, and the A's in the January 73 secondary draft, but did not sign with any of the clubs. Finally, when the Expos selected him in the first round of the June 73 secondary draft, he signed. Cromartie batted .336 with 13 home runs, 61 runs batted in, and 30 stolen bases. His first pro season in 74 with the Quebec Carnivals. This performance earned him a September call-up to the major leagues, all the way from AA. He went 3 for 17 with 3 walks during his short stint with the Expos. Now, when he went to spring training in 1975 competing for the open right field job, he was sent to Expoville, the Expos minor league complex in Daytona Beach, for a reassignment to the AAA Memphis Blues in March. After a disappointing 75 season in Memphis, he rebounded nicely in 76 to bat .337 for the AA's Denver Bears and received a call-up to the Expos in mid-August. He spent the rest of the season pretty much platooning with the great Ellis Valentine in right field, batting .210 with 2 RBIs. So the talent was there, but hadn't hit the big time. Now, both Cromartie and Valentine won starting jobs in Montreal's outfield out of spring training in 77, where Cromartie shifting to left field. Joining them in the Expos outfield would be 22-year-old center field phenom Andre Dawson, the Hawk. Their youth, speed, and talent soon made him the talk of the baseball world. He had his first major league home run against the New York Mets' Nino Espinosa on July 2nd, and usually batting either second or fifth in the Expos lineup. He spent most of the season with a batting average over 300, but cooled off to 282 with 5 home runs and 50 RBIs by the end of the season. But he was becoming extremely, extremely popular throughout Quebec, especially Montreal, for his genial personality. Unfortunately, Cromartie was considered something of a defensive liability his rookie season and worked on his defense during the off year. As a result, he led NL left fielders in many defensive categories in 78. He, Dawson, and Valentine each led their respective positions in outfield assists to give the Expos the unquestionable top defensive outfield in the major leagues. With his bat, he got off to a slow start in 78. He ended April with just a 123 batting average and 2 ribbies. From there, he batted .307 the rest of the season to finish just below 300 at .297, which was tops in the team. His first Major League Grand Slam was a walk-off against the Braves on July 19th. Now, after going 0-for-5 in the 79 season opener with the Pirates, he embarked upon a 19-game hitting streak, the longest of his career. Now, he was basically not say a slap hitter, but he could make contact. Now, this hot start helped propel the Expos into the first real pennant race in franchise history. The battle of Phillies and the Pirates for first place in the NL East throughout the season, with the lead of the division peaking at 6.5 games on July 2nd. To eventually win a franchise best 95 games, but still finish second to the World Series winning Pirates by 2 games. And of course, losing at home on the weekend to the Pirates. For his part, Cromartie batted .275 with 8 home runs and a career best 84 runs scored. Now, Cromartie had played some first base in the minor leagues and was shifted there for the 1980 season after the Expos acquired outfielder Ron LaFleur from the Tigers at the winter meetings. He had difficulty filling his new position, committing a league-leading 14 errors at first. However, he had one of his best seasons at the bat, batting .288 and had 14 home runs and 70 RBIs. Now, perhaps the most memorable moment of Cromartie's 1980 season was the 4th of July doubleheader with the Mets. He committed 2 of the errors by the Expos in a sloppily played first game loss, as the Mets also committed 3. After committing a 3rd error in the second game, he also hit a 2-run home run that carried the Expos to a 6-5 victory. Now, the Expos again found themselves in a pennant race in 1980, despite key injuries to LaFleur, Valentine, Larry Parrish, and of course Bill Lee, among others. Cromartie was the only player in the team who managed to play the full 162 games that year. Their season came down to a season-ending 3-game set with the Phillies Olympic Stadium, as the Phillies won 2 out of 3 to win the division, especially on that big home run by Schmidt, and head to the postseason. Cromartie went hitless, unfortunately, in 11 at-bats on that set. Now, the Expos were uninterested in re-signing LaFleur for 81, we don't know what reason, and allowed him to depart via free agency. Rather than shifting Cromartie back to left field, he remained at first with rookie Tim Raines, given the starting job in left. When Valentine was dealt to the Mets shortly before the players' strike, Cromartie shifted to right field with Willie Montañez assuming first base duties. With Montañez producing just a .177 batting average, he was dealt to the Pirates for fellow first baseman John Milner on August 20th. Cromartie was eventually shifted back to first base in September, with Tim Wallach taking over in right field. Now, as a result of the players' strike, the owners decided to split the season in 2 halves, which helped the Expos, and with the first-place teams from each half in each division meeting in a best-of-5 divisional playoff series, the first time that MLB used a split season format since 1892. Cromartie batted .328 with 3 homers, 18 RBIs, and 24 runs scored in the second half to help the Expos win the NL East by half a game over the Cardinals, via also a win over the Mets in New York on the last weekend of the year. Now, after 2 consecutive near misses, Cromartie and most of his teammates were reaching the postseason for the first time in their careers. Cromartie went 2 for 4 with RBI double off Steve Carlton in the opening game of the NLDS to help bring his club to a 3-1 victory over the future Hall of Famer. They also defeated the Phillies in 5 games, but lost to the Dodgers in a 5-game NL Championship Series. Of course, Monday, the big home run against Rogers in Game 5. Cromartie was in the on-deck circle when the Dodgers recorded a final out of the 81 NLCS on the Jerry White, non-hit. Now, just as the 82 season was set to begin, the Expos acquired first baseman Al Oliver from the Rangers for third baseman Larry Parrish and Dave Hostetler. With this acquisition, Cromartie was back in the outfield again in right field. Cromartie was batting just .211 when he belted a walk-off home run after Cardinals closer Bruce Sutter on June 7th. From there, he brought his average up to far more respectable .250 with decent power numbers, 10 homers, 49 RBIs. However, the Expos still elected to acquire right fielder Joel Youngblood for the Mets for a player to be later on August 4th. Now, Youngblood cost Cromartie playing time when he first arrived in Montreal. The .192 batting average he put up in the first month with his new club, however, prompted manager Jim Fanning to give the job back to Cromartie full-time. For the season, Cromartie batted .254 with 62 RBIs and 14 homers. Youngblood's tenure with the Expos lasted just 1 season. Of course, he played for 2 teams on the same day, the big record, as did Fanning's. With the arrival of new manager Bill Virdon in 1983, Cromartie found himself in a battle with Terry Francona. Yes, that Terry Francona, who was coming back from a new injury for the right field job the following spring. Cromartie won the job, but still saw limited action in 1983. On July 15th, Cromartie tipped the food table in the Expos clubhouse following a 9-3 loss to the Braves. Virdon suspended him 3 games for his temper tantrum, and of course back trouble, limited him to 9 plate appearances in the Expos' final 26 games. Now, he eventually became a free agent at the end of the season. After receiving some interest from the Giants, he instructed agent Koki Lazarus to send out feelers to Japan. He ended up signing with the Tokyo Yomiuri Giants of the Nippon League in December 1983. At 30, Cromartie became the first and perhaps most prominent American player still in his prime to sign with a Japanese baseball team. Upon his arrival in Japan, his manager, legendary Japanese slugger Sadahiro, noticed a hitch in Cromartie's swing. He had Cromartie take batting practice with a book on his elbow to correct it. As a result of the help, he had 10 game-winning RBIs in his first season and belted over 30 home runs in each of his first 3 seasons. During Cromartie's second season in Japan, his second son, Kodio Cromartie, was born. His middle name is in honor of Sadahiro. Now, the low point of Cromartie's career in Japan came in June 1987. The Central League suspended Cromartie for 7 days and fined him $2,143 for inciting a brawl with Masamai Miyashita, a Chunichi Dragons pitcher who hit him in the back. The next time the Giants played in Nagayo, over 200 security guards were employed to protect Cromartie from angry fans. Now, a broken thumb also limited to just 49 games in 81. He appeared to be on his way to being Wally pipped when his replacement, Ming-Si Liu, clubbed 4 home runs in the first 5 games. Liu was Taiwanese, and NPB was a Gaijin Waku, or a limit of 2 foreign-born players per team. Cromartie's former teammate with the Expos, pitcher Bill Gullickson, was also a member of the Giants. Given the salaries of Cromartie and Gullickson, Liu ended up being the odd man out. Now, in 89, he had a great season. He batted .378 with 15 home runs and 78 RBIs to be named MVP of the Central League and led his team to the Japan World Series championships. In the deciding game of the series with the Kunitsu Buffaloes, Cromartie doubled in the 4th inning to ignite a 3-run rally and homered in the 7th. He originally intended to retire at the end of the season, but his success prompted him to spend one more season with the Giants. Now, Cromartie was eventually invited to spring training with the Royals in 91 and earned a 1-year deal at the league minimum to serve as a left-handed bat off the bench. In limited duty, Cromartie batted .313 with 1 homer and 20 RBIs. He retired during the season with 20 games still remaining on the schedule. Now, rumor has it he wanted to come back to Montreal, but there was no go. Now, in the Major League Baseball, he ended up with a .281 average based on 61 homers, 391 RBIs, and 1,104 hits. Now, in 7 seasons in Japan, he batted over 305 times. All told, he compiled a .321 batting average with 171 home runs and 558 RBIs for the Yomiuri Giants. He led the Giants 3 times in RBIs, twice in home runs, and twice in batting. But the idea of a Cromartie, his type of game, would work because there was defense and there was help off the bench. Now, ironically, Cromartie is not only known for his play, he's an accomplished drummer, and he also jammed with the Canadian rock band Rush. A blueprint for the fictional Warren Cromartie Secondary School appears on the back cover of Rush's 82 release, Signals, and Cromartie is thanked in the album's liner notes. While in Japan, Cromartie formed an ARR band called Climb with David Rosenthal of Rainbow. Rush lead singer Geddy Lee appears on the track Who's Missin' Who from the 81 release Take a Chance. Mitch Malloy and Foreigner's Lou Graham also made guest appearances on the album. Now, Riley's only season in Kansas City was set to start. His autobiography, written with Robert Whiting, detailing his playing days in Japan, slugging it out in Japan, an American major leaguer in the Tokyo outfield, hit bookstores. Now, Cromartie has also been a broadcaster. He began doing Florida Marlins pregame shows for WQAM radio in 97 and remained a broadcaster with the Marlins in one form or another through 2002. He also served as the television color commentator for the Expos in the team's final year of existence in 2004. He currently hosts a radio show on WXY 790 in Miami, Talking Hardball with the Crow, which currently airs on Saturday during baseball season. He has his own segment on the TSN 690 Montreal and regularly airs at 4 p.m. Eastern on weekdays with Mitch Melnick. Now, in 2005, he sued the makers of a film based on the manga anime series Cromartie High School in Japanese court. The series does not feature Cromartie himself, but does depict students who smoke, fight with students from other schools, and are depicted as ruffians, which he says defames his character as the school shares his name. Now, the Miami native held his first baseball camp at Miami-Dade Community College's North Campus in 94. He was also the manager of the Japan Samurai Bears, an all-Japanese team in the independent U.S. Golden Baseball League during the league's only season in 2005. Danny Gold and Matthew Asner of Mod Tree Productions also filmed a documentary of the club entitled Season of the Samurai. It aired on MLB Network in 2010. Now, there's some talk that the Tom Selleck movie, Mr. Baseball, is kind of partially or somewhat based on his time in Japan. Now, he also formed the Montreal Baseball Project in 2012 to launch a feasibility study in bringing MLB back to Montreal. Now, he's good pals, Andre Dawson and Cecil Fiedler of the Tigers, whom Cromartie met while the two played in Japan, teamed up to form Sports Dent in 1993. The company produced baseball-themed dental hygiene products, including a baseball bat-shaped toothbrush, a toothbrush holder that plays Take Me Out to the Ball Game, a dental floss dispenser shaped like home plate, and mock baseball cards to record one's runs brushed in. In 2007, he made his professional wrestling debut at an event called Hustle Aid to benefit leukemia research. He and Orojo Asai took on Tiger Jeet Singh and then Juan Suki in a tag match at Tokyo's Saitama Arena. As Singh is known for walking around and sorting him out, Cromartie showed up with a baseball bat and wearing a baseball uniform with the word Samurai Man across his chest and a number 48 from his playing days on the back. The match ended with Cromartie pinning Junsuki for the victory. Was there any doubt, ladies and gentlemen? So Warren Cromartie, a Renaissance man, performer, but the Crow basically has become a legend in Canada and worldwide by just being himself. But I still remember Dave Van Horn in the high-definition Olympic Stadium games and announcing, again, Valentine, Cromartie, and Dawson. It was like, it was amazing. And most of the games, the old Olympic Stadium, with the kind of the old-fashioned 77, 78, 79 jerseys, Cromartie was part of our childhood. As important as Jose Bautista was to young kids in the mid-2010s, the Blue Jay fans, Cromartie, Valentine, Dawson, Parrish, Carter, everybody else, were just as important. Dave Cash. But Warren Cromartie, what a life, what a character. And as you can see, he had dollars worth of talent and turned to $1 million. But the legacy that his father built and the hard work that he taught him and what it needs to be done, he should have been a manager in Major League Baseball. I don't know why he ever was. Maybe Cito Gasson was the quota, if you know what I'm saying. So if you like what we're doing with our Expo Vintage podcast, let us know with a like, comment, subscribe, or share. And as we like to say in Montreal, ole, ole, ole.